wanted to start traditionally and start with the gospel. Matthew or Mark or Luke or John. I have chills through my shoulders as I get ready to say, but I heard James. James in 1st and 2nd Peter. This Bible actually belongs to someone that doesn't know that it belongs to them yet. 12:24, 3:2:1. But I've been going through it for over a year. And as I read through it, I've been underlining things that meant something to me, things that meant something to my ancestors in other Bibles that I had around my house that resonated. James. I wonder if this is Greater James or Lesser James, Big James or Little James. Both of them were disciples of Jesus. No. It's James, the brother of Jesus. The same James that in Mark 3:21. I have chills again. The same brothers, James and I think Judas. Different Judas than Judas Iscariot. Even different Judas than, I think there was another Judas that was a disciple that went by something else. I can't remember their name now. But James and Jude or Judas were both brothers of Jesus. And James, actually, the brother of Jesus, not Big James or Little James, he kind of ran the church in Jerusalem after Jesus died. Now, this is a different James than Big James or Little James. These are the same brothers that when Jesus was alive and he was working miracles, his brothers and his mother, I think his mother was there too, were outside of one of the houses where he was performing miracles. My left ear is ringing. So his mom, Mary, and his brothers were outside of this house where he was performing miracles. And someone said, "Your family's out there." And well, basically, they weren't thrilled with what Jesus was doing. He was creating too much of a ruckus. I don't remember the exact story because I'm not a Bible scholar, but it was something along the lines of that Jesus should stop, that he should come home because it was unpopular what he was doing. Maybe he was giving the family a bad name. And Jesus said, "What family? This is my family." The people around him, the people listening to him, the followers that were around him, that were supporting his work, his calling. It's a really tense part of the Bible that I was never taught as a kid. It's in there though. It's in there. Imagine that later on in their lives, the brothers come around and they realize that their brother Jesus was the real thing. Sometimes it's only after you're gone that people finally get it. I can understand that at some small fraction of a level. The book of James. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, separately named, because Jesus is not God. Jesus did work for God. Jesus was sent by God. It's clear many times in the Bible, only worship God. Jesus was a teacher. Jesus was here to teach through a great sacrifice, a dedicated mystery. A dedicated mystery. It is a mystery, but a dedicated ministry. I allow for the Holy Spirit to continue to flow through me. Some of his greatest works, though, were the things he did while he was alive, and yet while his death was important and miraculous, the fulfillment of prophecy. It was a lot of the things that he did when he was alive during his ministry that were some of the most important things that he did. I don't think Jesus wants to be remembered only for his death, but for the important teachings that he brought down that were so important that he was willing to die for them. And he was willing to die for them. And he knew fully what he was dying for. This first chapter of James is one of my favorite parts of the Bible. You'll see why. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion. Greetings. My brothers and sisters, whenever you face various trials, consider it all joy, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance complete its work, so that you may be complete and whole, lacking nothing. If any of you is lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you. But ask in faith, never doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For the doubter, being double-minded and unstable in every way, must not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Whenever you face various trials, consider it a joy. Why? Why? When you are struggling, be joyful. Why? Think of the gym. Think of the struggling muscle. That muscle gets stronger because of tears, little tiny tears in the muscle, breakings, little pieces of broken tissue that then heals over stronger, bulkier, able to withstand more. Little tiny tears, not big, huge cuts, but it produces you to be able to endure more weight, more pressure, so that when something even bigger comes along, you're okay. If any of you is lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you. If you need to know something, if you need clarity on something, ask, but ask with full faith, not with doubt, because you cannot have doubt and faith in the same topic at the same time. You may doubt something else in a different topic, but the one, my left ear's ringing, the one that you are asking about, faith is paid for with the doubt that you would normally have, meaning you have to give it over. You have to hand it over like cash in order to get faith. You can't have faith and doubt at the same time on the same topic. For the doubter, being double-minded and unstable in every way, must not expect to receive anything from the Lord. One who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. I love that verse. And I also dislike it because it's always a sharp reminder, an abrupt reminder that going back and forth between faith and doubt, while human, is also something that you can work like a muscle and do less and less of. But it takes discipline, it takes practice. Poverty and riches. Verse 9, let the brother or sister of humble means boast in having a high position, and the rich in having been humbled, because the rich will disappear like a flower in the field. For the sun rises with its scorching heat and withers the field. Its flower falls, and its beauty perishes. It is the same way with the rich. In the midst of a busy life, they will wither away. A beautiful message on the importance of what you can learn through having to live through humbling experiences, such as poverty. I remember the first time that I had to ask for help, like really go through processes to ask for help as a single mom with 3 kids. I remember a time when I was younger, around 9 years old. I lived in this duplex. It was more than a duplex. It was like not quite apartments, maybe it was like a triplex or something like that. They were blue. And I remember that we had gone through some big changes in our family. And I remember getting this black pair of shoes. And I was so disappointed in that black pair of shoes because I knew that they were not even close to brand name. I knew everyone would know that I was poor when I wore them. And everybody did know. And it wasn't long after that I had to change schools for being bullied really severely. And then we moved again, and then we moved again. It was just a chain of a lot of endurance building moments. But I think back on these times where I've had to be the parent that is struggling, and have the parent that is struggling. Both. I've had both experiences, and they've made me a better human. That experience as a child helped me understand my own experience as an adult, helped me strive to find ways to provide for my kids, no matter who I had to ask, what I had to do to make sure that they have always had what they need, even when things were rough, even when things were really tight. And God has provided so many earth angels to make sure that everything has worked out exactly as it's meant to. My kids have always been provided for. Verse 12 says, "Blessed is anyone who endures temptation. Such a one has stood the test and will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. No one, when tempted, should say, 'I am being tempted by God,' for God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself tempts no one." This is one of my favorite places of this chapter, because we have these sayings like, "The Lord is testing me." No, the Lord is not. No, you see, the earth was built with free will, and God plays by the rules. And there's so many loopholes repeated over and over and over in here. Ask, and it will be given to you. With full faith, no doubt. That's hard. Very difficult. Free will is not meant to be overridden, which is why you can ask. You can use your will to ask for help. You have to be humble enough to ask for help. Most adults I know have a really hard time asking for help. And, I have a hard time asking for help from time to time as well. Because again, it's humbling every time. And sometimes it's embarrassing. Sometimes it's so difficult to ask for help because there's also this silent admission of failure when you're having to ask for help, meaning you couldn't do it alone. You weren't meant to do it alone. We're creatures that are meant to commune. We are meant to live in communities. We're meant to have really great skills in one area and maybe not so great of skills in others. We're meant to ask each other for help. But with this free will is also the free will to do horrible things to people, to not value another human, to not be kind to another human, to physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually harm another human. We have the free will to do that as well. We have the free will to know that someone is on a good path and purposely pull them away from that for our own selfish gain or convenience, to tempt them, to lure them off of their divine course. God does not tempt. God can keep you from being tempted when you ask. That's why I have very specific wording. Everything I do, I ask that it be done for my highest good, to help me stay on course or on my highest timeline, my highest possible timeline, given the choices that I've made. My very highest timeline that I originally was headed for, that's gone. I've made so many choices away from that timeline. I could have had a much different life. I live a good life. It's still my highest timeline that I'm living, my highest possible timeline given my current choices. And there are better and better and better choices that I could be making to recreate a timeline that hasn't even existed in thought yet, because I have never made the choices for that yet. But I have myself been tempted in other directions. I've taken the business route instead of gone straight on the highway. I've done little paths here and little paths there, and that was my choice. And I learned a lot from it, sure. That's great. I had some great experiences. It's made me a great human. I could have chosen many other paths that would have given me similar lessons, making me a similar, amazing human. I could have continued straight the entire time and gotten similar lessons that made me just as good of a human, if not even better. This is why I do believe there is a difference between a right path and a slightly off course path that you'll still get lessons for. Some of those are a lot delayed, and some of them are seconds delayed in difference of what would have been. But verse 12, "Blessed is anyone who endures temptation. Such a one has stood the test and will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. No one, when tempted, should say, 'I am being tempted by God,' for God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself tempts no one. But one is tempted by one's own desire, being lured and enticed by it. Then, when desire has conceived, it engenders sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, gives birth to death." gives birth to a transformation of kinds. We learn lessons. We could just make the right choice the first time. And if we don't, we will be brought to a lesson that then gets us back on the right path. Sin is just missing the mark. That's it. Think of a bullseye. You're trying to aim for that bullseye. That's your true north, your divine soul path, your destined path. But it's hard work to walk that. It's hard work to get your aim perfect for a bullseye. You're gonna make mistakes. So stop shaming yourself and feeling so guilty when you make a mistake. Notice the mistake, take accountability for it, and get back on path. It's that simple. Really, the concept is that simple. A lot of the Bible does have a lot of like, don't sin, and okay, it's human to miss the mark. That's where the discipline, the practice, the asking for help, the working that muscle over and over and over again. My body would be considered sin, okay? I have struggled with my weight for a lot of my life, and yet I love my body. I don't say that just to build that idea that I love my body. I've been here before. I see my struggle. I see my growth, and I will continue to ask for help. I will continue to ask for my body to change so that I like healthier and healthier things. And it's happened and it's happening at the same time. But there's a lot of pushback from the human body. There's a lot of not really believing that you can hit that mark. There's even forgetfulness that you even know where the bullseye is sometimes. But it's through these struggles that the transformation happens. You finally get tired of it and you're ready to get back on path. Verse 16 says, "Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers and sisters. Every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. In fulfillment of his own purpose, he gave birth to us by the word of truth, so that we would become a kind of first fruits of his creatures." This is packed. This right here, we probably could dive into for 30 minutes. Every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. The Father of lights, the parent of lights. So interesting. When I hear God, when I have met God in my mind's eye, God is a light so bright I can't see if there's a form in the middle of that light. God is a light. It's just so bright that it just almost reminds me of just like a computer that's just one bright light. And you can't stare at it either. Kind of like the sun, but bigger, brighter. It's incredible. It feels so layered too. The Father of lights, like you're light, I'm light. We are walking, talking stardust, stars. We're just glowing in a different way on this planet. I get chills with that. It feels so good to say it. It feels so good to say it. With whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. In fulfillment of his own purpose, he gave birth to us, to humans, to our species, by the word of truth. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. In the beginning was the Word. What if the Word was just the word sound? What if it was just Did you know that when you make the sound, A-U-M or O-M sound, it vibrates your pineal gland if you say it loud enough. It's going to get loud. It'll literally rattle your teeth when you're doing it loud enough to vibrate your pineal gland significantly. You have an intrusive thought. You literally can raise your vibration and away it goes. A little tip for you there. Verse 19, you must understand this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Let everyone be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. I went to this spiritual formation Sunday school class. It was like the 4th week. They're doing it for the Lent season before Easter. And for 3 weeks I wanted to go, but something in me felt not worthy to be there, or like I would be judged, or I knew I wouldn't be judged, but I had a fear of being judged, and like maybe my voice wouldn't be welcome there, or I'd be too weird for it, even though the church had been so kind to me this whole time. And I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go. And before I go, I got there early. I thought it started at 9. It was 9:15 and I wanted to get there early. And I parked at a church nearby and I sent someone a voice message. And it was exactly 10 minutes and 10 seconds, 10:10. And then I pull into the parking lot, and the numbers in the parking lot, some of them you can see clearly, some of them you can't. And I realize as my car is pointed into a parking spot, it's spot 10. And as I walk into this spiritual formation class, I'm looking at all the places that you can sit, and I'm like, well, I feel like I need to sit in this exact spot. So I sit in that exact spot. And we do this like round robin of reading, which was interesting because in a message from Spirit, I'd written down round robin. And I thought that that was interesting that then we went around and read 2 verses each. And somebody offered to go first. The pastor had said, would someone like to go first? And someone across the table had offered to read first. And as they said what page to go to and what verses it was, I realized it was one of my favorite places in the Bible. Not my favorite book in the Bible, but one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. John chapter 10. My favorite verses are verses 10:10 and 10:16. 10:16 to be super clear, but 10:10 is also one of my favorite verses. So I was like, how interesting that 10:10, 10, oh, we're in chapter 10. 10 feels important here. And then I heard Spirit say, and what do you think is going to be the verse that you read? I start counting. It's verses 10:9 and 10:10. And I had been told before I got there to observe, to be observant. I said, does that mean I can't speak? And they were like, no, you can, but observe more than you speak. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. And part of me wanted to just be quiet during it. But I heard, no, that was not the ask. It was to observe that you're in the right place at the right time, that we brought you on the right day with the right people at the right table, with the right chapter, the right verse, the right synchronicities all around you. And it was beautiful. And afterwards, someone who was fairly new to the church, I still feel like I'm brand new to the church too, she came up to me and she placed her hand on my shoulder and she said, thank you for saying what you said this morning. And I looked at her and I kind of laughed and I said, because I'd been a little chatty with some of the stuff. And I said, well, which part? And she said, all of it, all of it. What you have to share matters. Whether you believe in God, I'm getting emotional here. Whether you believe in God or just a higher self, highest self, you are being led. And when someone says follow your heart, that doesn't mean follow your emotions that are unfiltered and untamed and unhealed. It doesn't mean do your first impulse. It means sit there and feel what feels right. Not what is going to people please everyone around you. What truly feels like you're meant to do. And you will be surprised because your head will disagree with your heart a lot of the time. And your ego and your values and your beliefs will often disagree with your heart. many times you'll find yourself going, I already gave them grace. I already gave them forgiveness. I already tried that once before. I already. And your heart, your soul, your calling will tell you, try it again. Give them another chance. Turn the cheek. Offer it in a new way. Don't give them the same cheek. Don't give them the same opportunity. Give them a different one that looks similar. Are you listening? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's not about taking hits. It's about giving opportunity for someone to show you who they are, to show themselves who they are. Never said give them the same cheek at the exact same distance either. Maybe you're back 2 more steps. So that person has to shuffle their feet a little bit more to swing that arm. You must understand this, my beloved brothers and sisters. Let everyone be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, for human anger does not produce God's righteousness. It doesn't mean never ever be angry. It says be slow to anger. You are not expected to be perfect, and certainly do not repress, do not shove down your emotions. You can choose when to express that anger, and that anger can be expressed on your knees to God. God will listen to your anger. God created you. God has watched humans for millennia. God is fully aware of what we're capable of and how frustrating we can be and how angering we can be. How angered and angering we can be. The all-seeing definitely can understand. Be slow to anger to your fellow human. Therefore, rid yourselves of all sordidness and rank growth of wickedness, and welcome the meekness, the implanted word that has the power to save your souls. This part is talking about upkeep. It's why you can't suppress your anger. It's why you cannot continue to let thoughts about people spin and grow and become bigger and bigger and bigger. It's why you're asked to release that kind of stuff, to allow yourself to feel what you need to feel and then go, you know what? Okay, now I have to make a choice. Am I going to keep this person, this situation, this thing around me, or I'm going to distance myself from this? Am I going to create a different choice, a different path away from someone? Is there something that I need to sit with? Why am I so triggered right now? Why am I allowing the actions of somebody else to affect me so much for so long? When am I going to take what they've done or what they say, and instead of allowing it to have this rank in my life, bring it down here? Therefore, rid yourselves of all sordidness and rank growth of wickedness. Sordidness is like filth. It's like a dirty white shirt. And rank growth of wickedness, rank growth is like an overgrown garden, something that has been not kept up, kind of like my lawn is getting out there, which we're not repeating the things of the past years. We're going to do better this year. I'm going to mow it this week so it doesn't get too high. But taking care of those things. Rid yourselves of all sordidness and rank growth of wickedness, and welcome with meekness the implanted word that has the power to save your souls. So welcome the loving messages, right? A lot of the things that's already been talked about right here, but also is talked about in the gospel about loving your neighbor as yourself. One of the main 2 commandments that support all the other commandments that were there before. Loving the Lord God with all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your spirit, all of your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Loving yourself, taking care of yourself, keeping upkeep on yourself, including learning how to take care of your body better and better and better all of the time. Not letting the horrible thoughts and actions and choices to build up and build up and build up without any reflection, without any self-awareness. This verse is asking you to be aware of these parts of you and don't let those build up. Release them, take care of them, have good hygiene, emotional hygiene, spiritual hygiene, mental health hygiene, physical hygiene. But be doers of the word and not merely hearers who deceive themselves. Don't just hear the words that come out of the Bible, out of Jesus's mouth, even out of what I'm saying, and then never put it into practice. And then try to fool yourself into thinking that you're a good person, a kind person, a loving person, but you don't actually live the words that you speak. You don't actually try to put it into practice more and more and more. This isn't a shame-building moment. This is about self-awareness and reflection. Are you actually doing the words that are in this book that many of you guys claim is what you believe in? Are you actually doing it? We can see in politics these days that a lot of people that are wearing some of those hats and walking around saying Jesus this and God that, they're not doing. But guess what? You can do. And part of doing the word of God is having grace, having forgiveness, speaking out against some of this hypocrisy that's out there without casting judgment or blame only on these people, calling them to account. Ding, ding. Calling them to account, but not just to point a finger at them. The goal isn't to point the finger. The goal is to bring awareness and to live the word. For if any are hearers of the word and not doers, they are like those who look at themselves in a mirror. For they look at themselves and, on going away, immediately forget what they were like. Literally talking about reflection. We're figuratively talking about reflection and literally talking about reflection here. But those who look into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and persevere, being not hearers who forget, but doers who act, they will be blessed in their doing. If any think they are religious and do not bridle their tongues, but deceive their hearts, their religion is worthless. If any think they are religious and do not bridle their tongues, but deceive their hearts, their religion is worthless. I don't know about you, but I'm just seeing what's happening in our world right now, in our nation, in my nation right now. A lot of hate spewing from the mouth. Not a whole lot of doing the love pieces, the loving the neighbor as yourself, the other people. Neighbor just means other people. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to care for orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself unstained by the world. The widows and orphans are both literal and also symbolic. The ones cast away in that time. In this time, in my nation, immigrants. The ones that are cast away, that are being detained very inhumanely and in many cases illegally, without due process. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to care for the orphans and the widows, the ones that are cast away, the ones that people look down on, the ones that people think are worthless, our government thinks is worthless. Ding, ding. Care for them. And to keep oneself unstained by the world. Don't let these people make you a horrible person. Do not join them in their hate. Call them to account. Call them to be accountable, but do not join them in the hate. You can be firm with your words. You can be truthful with your words. Jesus was firm and truthful and still love. He was slow to anger, but he did not never get angry. He flipped tables. He did get angry. He was slow to anger, and yet he's considered perfect. The guy got angry and is still considered perfect. It's a good chapter, eh? I think so.